How Roman Empire fell, the shocking reasons behind Rome's collapse. The Roman Empire, once the greatest civilization on earth, stretched across continents, ruling lands from Britain to Egypt and from Spain to Mesopotamia. For centuries, it stood as a symbol of strength, order, and innovation. Its legions were feared, its cities admired, and its influence unmatched. But then, it fell. In the year 476 AD, the unthinkable happened. The last Roman emperor was overthrown, marking the end of an empire that had lasted for over 1,000 years. How could such a mighty civilization collapse? What forces brought Rome, the eternal city, to its knees? Let's uncover the shocking reasons behind the fall of Rome. The height of power at its peak in the 2nd century AD, Rome was the center of the known world. Its empire connected millions of people through a network of roads, trade, and governance. The period known as the Pax Romana, the Roman peace, lasted nearly 200 years. During this time, Rome experienced prosperity, art, and engineering achievements on a scale the world had never seen. Colossal monuments like the Colosseum and aqueducts symbolized the empire's ingenuity. Its armies secured borders, and its legal system laid the foundations for modern law. Yet even in this golden age, unseen cracks were beginning to form beneath the surface. Cracks that would one day split the empire apart. Seeds of decay. Rome's downfall didn't happen overnight. It began gradually, from within. One of the earliest and most devastating problems was political instability. The empire's strength relied heavily on competent leadership. But after the reigns of powerful rulers like Augustus, Trajan, and Marcus Aurelius, came a long line of weak, corrupt, and power-hungry emperors. In just 50 years during the 3rd century, Rome saw more than 20 emperors, many assassinated by their own guards. The empire was no longer led by visionaries but by generals fighting for power. Civil wars became common. The government grew unstable, and loyalty within the ranks of the army weakened. Rome's greatest enemy was no longer an external threat. It was itself. Economic troubles. The mighty Roman economy began to crumble under its own weight. Endless wars drained the treasury, and heavy taxation fell on ordinary citizens. The empire had grown dependent on conquest. New lands meant new wealth, slaves, and resources. But once expansion slowed, the flow of riches stopped. To make matters worse, inflation spiraled out of control. Roman coins were increasingly made with less silver, causing their value to drop drastically. Prices soared and trade declined. Farmers abandoned their land due to high taxes and constant invasions, leading to food shortages and economic stagnation. Corruption spread through every level of administration. Officials embezzled funds, soldiers demanded bribes, and the once powerful Roman currency became worthless. The empire that once conquered the world could barely sustain itself. Moral and social decline. Over time, Rome's moral and social fabric weakened. The citizens who once prized duty, honor, and sacrifice became obsessed with luxury and pleasure. The government tried to distract the masses from the empire's growing problems with the infamous policy of bread and circuses, free food and grand entertainment in the Colosseum. Gladiator fights and chariot races became more important than politics or military service. As comfort replaced discipline, civic responsibility vanished. Birth rates declined as family structures broke down. Citizens avoided military duty, forcing Rome to rely on foreign mercenaries, soldiers from barbarian tribes who often had little loyalty to the empire. When a civilization loses its sense of purpose and unity, its downfall becomes only a matter of time. Military overstretch. Rome's territory eventually covered more than 5 million square kilometers, a vast domain requiring enormous resources to defend. Its legions were stationed across distant lands, guarding deserts in Africa, forests in Hermonia, and mountains in Britain. Maintaining these far-flung borders became a logistical nightmare. The cost of defending the empire exceeded what it could produce. To fill the ranks, emperors increasingly recruited barbarian soldiers. These foreign troops fought for pay, not patriotism. Over time, they gained influence within the army, and many rose to power. Ironically, the same tribes Rome had once conquered would later help destroy it. The empire had stretched itself too thin, and its borders became impossible to secure. The division of the empire. In an attempt to manage the chaos, Emperor Diocletian made a bold move in 285 AD. He divided the empire into two parts: the Western Roman Empire, governed from Rome, and the Eastern Roman Empire, governed from Byzantium, later called Constantinople. At first, this seemed like a brilliant solution. Two empires could manage affairs more efficiently and respond faster to threats. But in time, this division weakened unity. The Eastern Empire grew wealthy through trade and strong leadership, while the Western Empire struggled with poverty, invasions, and internal decay. When crises struck, the two halves rarely helped each other. The East protected its riches, while the West was left to fend for itself. This separation marked the beginning of the end for Western Rome. The rise of Christianity. A profound shift was also taking place in Rome's spiritual life. The rise of Christianity. For centuries, Rome had been a polytheistic society, worshipping gods like Jupiter, Mars, and Venus. These deities were tied to Roman traditions and the state itself. But in the 4th century, Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity, and it spread rapidly across the empire. Christianity introduced new values: compassion, humility, and devotion to one God. It also changed the relationship between citizens and the state. The emperor was no longer seen as divine, and the old Roman religion that once unified the people faded away. While Christianity brought moral renewal, it also shifted focus from civic duty and military service to spiritual salvation. Some historians believe this weakened Rome's unity and diverted resources once used for public works and defense toward building churches and supporting clergy. Faith reshaped Rome, and in doing so, changed the empire forever. Barbarian invasions as internal problems mounted. New dangers arose from outside. Waves of barbarian tribes began to push into Roman territory. The Visigoths, Vandals, Ostrogoths, and Huns, all seeking land, wealth, or refuge, crossed the empire's weakened frontiers. These groups had long been pressured by the terrifying advance of the Huns from Central Asia. Seeking safety, they entered Rome's borders, but soon turned against it. In 410-8, the Visigoths under King Alaric did the unthinkable. They sacked Rome. For the first time in 800 years, the Eternal City fell to foreign invaders. The world was shocked. Rome, once invincible, was now vulnerable. In 455 AD, the Vandals attacked and looted the city again, taking everything of value. Finally, in 476 AD, a Germanic general named Odoacer overthrew the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus. With that, the Western Roman Empire officially came to an end. The empire that had ruled the world was no more. The Eastern Empire lives on, though the Western Empire fell. The eastern half, the Byzantine Empire, endured. From its capital in Constantinople, it carried on Roman traditions for nearly 1,000 years. Byzantine emperors preserved Roman law, culture, and art, blending them with Greek language and Christian faith. In many ways, the Byzantine Empire was the true continuation of Rome, but the glory of the ancient West of Caesar, Augustus, and the Colosseum was gone forever. Climate change and disease. Modern research reveals that Rome's fall wasn't just political or military nature, played its part too. A period of climate cooling known as the Late Antique Little Ice Age reduced crop yields, leading to famines. At the same time, deadly plagues like the Antonine Plague and the Plague of Cyprian swept through the empire, killing millions. With food shortages, economic strain, and fewer soldiers to defend its borders, Rome's resilience weakened even further. When nature, disease, and chaos align, even the greatest empire can crumble. The legacy of Rome, though, Rome fell. Its legacy never disappeared. Roman law became the foundation for modern legal systems. Latin evolved into the Romance languages: Italian, French, Spanish, Portuguese, and Romanian. Roman architecture inspired countless cities, from Paris to Washington, D.C. Concepts like republican governance, public infrastructure, and engineering efficiency all traced their roots back to Rome. The empire's body may have died, but its spirit continues to shape our modern world. Lessons from the fall. The fall of the Roman Empire was not caused by one single event. It was the result of centuries of internal decay, poor leadership, economic troubles, moral decline, and external invasion. Rome teaches us a powerful lesson. No civilization, no matter how mighty, is immune to collapse. Empires do not fall because of one sword or one battle. They fall when they lose their unity, their values, and their sense of purpose. Rome reminds us that even the greatest power can fade when corruption, complacency, and division take hold. It is a warning written in stone, one that echoes through time. Closing reflection. Today, the ruins of Rome still stand as silent witnesses to its former greatness. Walking through the Forum or gazing at the Colosseum, we are reminded that power, wealth, and glory are never eternal. Rome rose through discipline, innovation, and courage, but fell through greed, division, and neglect. Its story is not just history. It's a reflection of human nature. Every empire, every nation, and every generation faces the same question. Will we learn from Rome's mistakes or repeat them? Because every empire, no matter how powerful, eventually faces its own decline. And when it comes, the fall, like Rome's, is both shocking and inevitable.